Hello, and thank you so much for joining my channel. Hopefully, the mic is picking up what it needs to pick up. There's so much construction happening in my neighborhood right now, so I'm like, gotta mic it up, or else you're gonna hear everything out in these streets. But today, we are talking about fashion. Oh, no, we're not. We're talking about beauty. And I have a little bit to talk about. I'm a little, sometimes I come in here, I'm ashamed, but then by the time I start talking to you, I feel much better. But it's all about beauty today, and let's get right into it. So, you all, I did a couple of blind buys on fragrances, and I sat up here, it couldn't have been more than 2, 3 months ago, and I told you I would never do it again because I didn't want to risk getting a dud. I've taken several risks already, and they have worked out in my favor. So I was like, okay, you're pressing your luck. And then I went and did it again, you all. And not with just one, not two fragrances, but four fragrances. We're going to review two of those today. So I went to Jomashop and I picked up these fragrances, and these came up today. I wanted to hurry up and talk about them with you today. I feel like just because I just didn't do my research that some of these that I've ordered might be dupes for other fragrances, but I'm not necessarily certain. But let me get into the one that I know is not a dupe, and I'll tell you my backstory on how I selected it. This very first one is called Stash by Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah, Sarah Jessica Parker, SJP, from Sex and the City. And the reason why I know about this is because Sebastian from the Perfume guy, is that his name? I think his name is the Perfume guy, on YouTube talked about this. He was talking about cheapies that are really, well, designer and cheapies that are really, really good. And he mentioned this one from SJP. I have never smelled it before, hadn't even heard about it until he talked about it. And let me talk to you about some of the notes, and this is why I ended up getting it. So the top notes are grapefruit zest, black pepper, and sage. The middle notes are atlas, cedarwood, patchouli, ginger lily, and pistachio. And the base is olibanum, messiah wood, and I've never heard of that a day in my life. Vetiver and musk. There's a good mix of things that I know that I love, another mix of things that I'm familiar with and okay with, and a few mysterious notes that could go either way. So, the way that he described it, it made me feel like this was something I needed in my collection. This is 100 ml, 3.4 ounce, so it's a pretty big bottle. And that's a big risk to take for something that you may or may not like because this is a huge bottle. The one thing that gave me solace was the fact that, look at that packaging. The one thing that gave me solace was the fact that it was super cheap. It was less than $30. Every single purchase that I made that I bought for those four fragrances that I blind purchased, they were all less than $30. So I feel okay about that. It's those hundreds of dollar ones, and I've made mistakes on ones that were super expensive before. But those are the ones that I'm reluctant to ever do a blind buy on. So once you open it, oh wow, cool. It comes in this cute little Royal Crown cola, Royal Crown bag. Those of y'all from the hood know what I mean, that Royal Crown booze. All right, let's see how it looks. That's funny. I don't know alcohol. I just know that it was booze. I don't even know if it was rum, tequila. What is Royal Crown? Here is the package. It's very pretty. And I fully expect that from SJP. What's interesting is that this label is like a piece of athletic tape. It's so weird, and it has like gold writing that's like in a gold marker. But let's get into how this smells, you all. From the nozzle, it smells a bit masculine, which is interesting because this is a woman's fragrance for all intents and purposes. But let's see. The sprayer is okay. Oh, this is actually pretty nice. It has a slight perfumey smell, and I bet there's, I don't know which one of these flowers that I named is a white floral. There has to be a white floral in here because I have like a superpower. White florals give me a reaction, and I'm getting that reaction, but it's not super strong. It's blended in a way where it's super soft. So I think if I were to spray it behind the knees and like on my back, I usually do that with fragrances that I love and I want other people to enjoy, but I don't want it to give me a reaction. I'll spray it in other parts of my body that are not close to my face. But this is actually very lovely. It's a powdery, florally, woody, slightly green. I am not getting any of the grapefruit zest that they mentioned in here. I am getting the peppery. The dry down is getting better. Whatever the white fragrance I was smelling at first is starting to dissipate. But I think it's worth a shot. I think it's worth wearing. It's a nice girl aesthetic. And if you're a guy, it is a very nice guy. This is unisex, I'm be honest with you. It could go either way. On a guy, it would be like a guy you really trust. And then if it, on a woman, it would be like the girl next door. But it can go either way. That musk in here is amazing. Okay. All right. So we didn't waste $30 here. Well, let's move on to the next one. All right, so this next one is from Paris Corner. The reason why I got this is because I did blind buy a Paris Corner hibiscus something or other not too long ago, and I was really pleased with it. And I was like, well, what else does Paris Corner have that I might be interested in? And so looking at the notes, I picked this one. This one might be a dupe for something else because the reason why I say is because of the shape of the bottle. I feel like it may be a dupe for something from Louis Vuitton, but it might not be. I don't know. But I picked it solely based on the notes and because Paris Corner did such a good job on the other fragrance that I purchased. That other fragrance was later I found out a dupe for Hibiscus Mahajad from Maison Carvelli. So this one could very well be a dupe. So this one is Amir from the brand Amir and is L'Or d'Espoir Amber. So this might be a masculine fragrance. I don't know. But let's look at the notes here before we get into it too much. Again, blind buy. I just literally just read through this on the website and thought this should be nice. So the top notes are pink pepper, black currant, and lychee. The mid notes are rose, cardamom, and praline or praline. Wherever you're from, you might say it differently. And then the base notes are musk, vanilla, and oud. This sounds absolutely delicious. Opening the packaging here, I think this might be a dupe for something from Louis Vuitton. And I'm going to take a second. Once we smell this, I'm going to look and see if this is a dupe for something. I probably should have looked at that before. But this is 100 ml, 3.4 milliliters. Again, really big mistake to make because it's a big old bottle. But it's the shape of, those fragrances. It's the same shape, you all. So I think it might be a dupe for that. So just from the nozzle, it smells quite animalic. And I don't know if that's the musk in here or what, but let's see. Oh, that is good, you all. There is a leather note in here, and I'm hoping that it kind of goes away. I think it's that oud that's, a very, very strong. That was probably the little funky animalic smell I was smelling because the oud can be funky sometimes. But this is quite nice. I think if I had to guess what this is a dupe for, it's probably like that ombre. Is it ombre nomad? Ombre nomad. I'm gonna look it up and see what it is, but the leather note in here is making me think of that ombre nomad one. Is it ombre nomad? You all tell me. But actually let me just look up and see what this could possibly be a dupe for because I think I've smelled this before and this is actually quite nice. All right, so I looked it up really quickly. This is a dupe for Louis Vuitton Ombre Nomad, and this means on here. It's in French. It means glimmer of hope. I had it all wrong, y'all. I cannot read French apparently, but yeah. And I looked up. It said that it is 95% similar to Ombre Nomad, and this is probably the best dupe out in the market for it based on what it says here on the interwebs. So I think that we have a winner here. I'm gonna see how this leather note plays out. For me, leather is just leather is not awful. It's just not necessarily me. I'm not. I picture like a bad chick, like a baddie, bad girl to kind of have leathery fragrances. Look at me. That ain't me. I'm more of a flowery, floral girl next door. I'm more of this SJP. This has a little bit of wild pizzazz to it, but I'm really more of a florally person. I might do something unisex, but leather, I think of like metal and leather and hardcore. That's just not me. So, and that's kind of part of why I don't feel comfortable wearing leather. But it's not that it's a terrible note. It's just doesn't fit my aesthetic. And lastly, I want to circle back to a fragrance that I blind bought quite some time ago, and I'm not sure. I cannot remember if we talked about it again after I made the purchase. But this is called Dis Louis by Yeezy. And I just, out of curiosity, out of sheer curiosity, I bought this. And plus, it was only like $12 on Amazon. So, like, I had nothing to lose. This is another 100 ml, 3.4 ml, 3.4 ounce fragrance. This is not a dupe for something. This is literally a fragrance that Yeezy came up with. And I'm like, what you doing, Yeezy? And looked up the notes, and it seemed nice, and I wore it a couple times. I wore it before, and it's more of, like I said, it's a skin scent that sits close to you and is very pleasant. I have it on today, as a matter of fact, and this one is like a girl next door kind of a vibe. It is very pretty. It's very lovely. Definitely meant for women. It does say Perfume on here. So it definitely is for women, and it gives me very nice, proper vibes. And if you're like meeting some relatives for the first time, or if you're going to church, to the office, meeting meeting coworkers, like, just if you want to give off a good impression, I think this is it. And it won't choke anybody out. It won't offend anybody. But it's also unique. It doesn't smell like anything that I have either. It's not, like I said, it wasn't pretending to be anything or anybody else. It is this Louis. That's what it is. So I would recommend it, especially for the $12. It is a good buy, and it smells pleasant. So you all, that brings us to the end of today's fragrance review video. Let me know if any of that interests you, and if you feel comfortable making blind buy purchases. Let me know in the description box below. Have you ever blind bought a fragrance? And if so, how did it turn out? Or, listening to my story today, would you ever blind buy a purchase? Why or why not? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends. Bye.
Rocky, she's just a fashion girl from Chicago. Rocky, just a fashion girl.